Hi everyone. In this video, we're going to be talking about shapes, like movement and sort of the parameters around them. So let's get started and let's just drag any shape in. I'm going to be doing a cylinder. So what we have here is you'll see like these white squares. If you click and drag, it allows you to redimension the shape. And then if you're happy, you can just let go. And all four of these white squares do the same, just, from different corners. This white one that's, like above the rest at the top face of the shape, it only allows you to extend the shape vertically in the z-axis. And that's these black squares will do the same thing. Like same thing in the sense that it only allows you to extend in one direction. These white squares, if I'm not careful, see how it's like getting bigger in both the x and the y, but with this black one, it's only the x. Speaking of, you saw these numbers increase. Actually, let's go back to a cube. Let's go to a cube. So you saw these numbers increase, right? So if I don't like this, you always can just, I click the cube, I click this white square, so now like it sort of locks in, and now I can just type the dimensions I want, right? If I just click that. So that's one way to change your dimensions. Another way is that some of these basic shapes will have like what I call parameters, these guys here, that allows you to change them from this menu. So let's delete this. And you see how everything's 20, 20, 20. I can do like 40. There we go, 40, right? You get the idea. A word of caution though is that whichever way you use, please, or for the sake of simplicity, I recommend you only stick with whatever way for that shape. If I do this, right, I'll just do something random. 27 by what? 16 and 15. So if I make this 40 now, you see like it's not 40, it's now 30. What this does essentially is a scalar. So whatever dimension my thing is right now, it'll increase it proportionally. So 20 is like you can think of it as 1. So I'm like if I'm going to go to 40 for my width, what was it? What's this guy? Let me click 16. So if I go to 40, that's going to now become 32. So it's like not too bad, but again, it's just like a lot of extra steps for no reason. So either stick with this parameter or like stick with the parameter way or just like putting in the dimension manually yourself. Or you could just instead of like putting in the dimension, you can always drag. But, I guess stick with the workspace way or like the parameter way. All right, so we talked about okay, dimensions. Of course, moving a shape, you just hold it with left click, and if you're happy, just let go. If you want to move it up and down, that's what this black cone is for. You hold and drag it. So now, I can go above and below the workspace or the work plane. Now these guys here allows you to rotate. I think a cone. Actually, let's get something that'll be sure. I think this won't be bad. All right. So click the shape, click this, and now you can, or like now you can drag. If I'm inside the circle, then like the grid ticks, like these bigger ticks, if I'm following that, then it will sort of snap in increments of 22.5, which is pretty nice. And if I'm outside following the circle with more grid ticks, it's not as smooth. It just increases in increments or decreases by increments of 1. So depending on what you're looking for, you can use either way. And you can also do it with the other two axes, right? So let's just like do that. And then for here, rotate 90. All right. So we talked everything with the shape, dilation, movement, rotation. Let's go back to the parameters. So these basic shapes are going to have a parameter or two that you can mess with. So let's say, you know, whoa, yeah. So you just can mess around and see what you want. Base radius. This is like the dimension thing again. Sides. Maybe I want more sides. That looks pretty smooth. You know, if I want it to be more clunky, like look at that. Take away the sides. And of course, every basic shape is going to have different parameters. And I'm not going to go over all of them. In fact, I recommend that you go through them and see like, oh, what does this do? And then if you like that, maybe include that in your design. Another thing about shapes are solids and holes. You can always change the color as well. Let's get rid of transparent actually. You could do multicolor too. Well, maybe not right now. I'm not sure why. But yeah, and then there's holes. We'll get into holes later. They're very important. Go back to the shape. If I click this, lock editing, you see the purple once I click the shape, like I'm out of the shape, I click it. That means like I cannot edit this guy or move it at all. He just stays there. Maybe it's like, maybe you don't want to delete something and like you don't want to accidentally delete it, so you lock it. I personally don't use it. Up to you guys. There's also this, you just hide it, which I think is not that useful. And that's what this guy does, the light bulb. If something is hidden, then you can click, like you can unhide it by clicking that guy. You'll know something is hidden if this is sort of like bold. If it's not, let's say I just get rid of it, I have nothing that's hidden, then it's not active. One last thing with shapes. Well, this is not a shape, but there's a comment, you can always add stuff, maybe just like, I want to rotate this 90, leave it there. You can click it so that it hides, drag it. I think for these though, you have to like click and then click this delete thing. What I've been doing, getting rid of these shapes, I've just been pressing the backspace button. But it seems like with this comment thing, you can't. You just have to click this, which is annoying. Also, one more thing. There's this text guy, which you can like put text in if you want. There's font as well. And there's also this thing where you can draw. Like, let me just do something. You'll see, right? It's loading. I get out hide preview, or I just click done. Bam. One thing with this scribble command though is there are no snaps, meaning this is all freehand. So like if I want to draw a square, there like the only way to draw a square is by physically using your mouse to trace over a square. And just because we're human, it's not going to be perfect. Like look at this. See? But it's another tool out there in your arsenal if you're curious and want to use it.